Okay, for this fly, we're going to tie a San Juan worm, and we're going to tie this fly in what I would consider this speed tying. And the reason that I would call it speed tying is we're going to tie 3 flies really quickly. I like to do that with certain patterns that I tie just because it speeds up my efficiency. So I'm going to tie these San Juan worms on a smaller hook, size 16 curved hook. And what I've got is I've got red thread, and I have cut 3 small strips of micro chenille, and those are a little long, but of course they can be trimmed. And with those 3 strips, we're going to tie 3 quick San Juan worm flies. So I've got my hook up there, and I like to tie with my scissors in my hands. So I hold my bobbin like this with my scissors. That way I can snip a lot quicker. So we're going to take my thread, my red thread, and wrap it along this hook, give it a good red base. Whoop. And back here in the back, we're going to stop, snip that thread, grab one of my pieces of micro chenille, lay it right on the hook, tie it in, about 5 or 6 good wraps in that spot. And what I like to do is I like to just wrap forward on the worm up to the front. A lot of good wraps in the front, and that's it. And then we'll whip finish. Alright, got my scissors handy, so they're done. Okay, there's one fly, next one's going up. Have my hooks out already, so they're ready to go. And we'll start over. Same thing. Thread onto the hook, towards the back of the hook, and you can tie a San Juan worm on almost any size you want. I prefer smaller, just because I fish a lot of rivers where the fish are a little more selective when I'm fishing a San Juan worm. So put my micro chenille on there, get some good, 5 or 6 wraps where I tied it in, and then slowly work my fly to the front with a wrap, fairly evenly spaced apart, and wrap it off in the front. Grab my whip finisher and whip finish. Okay, and last one. Grab my hook, put the hook in the vise, do the same thing. This is an easy fly to do this with because there's only a few steps to actually constructing the fly. A multi-step fly requires a little more planning. And what I like to do sometimes is I'll tie the fly in steps. I'll tie maybe I'll do the first 2 steps of the fly for a handful of them, maybe half a dozen of them, and then I take them out of the vise and I start with the next 3 or 4 steps. And I'll just do that with each of them until I'm finished. There you have it, 3 red San Juan worms relatively quickly. One thing I haven't done is you'll notice these San Juan worms, the tips they're just kind of blunt ends. I like for them to have a tapered end, so I like to use a lighter, and just really quickly you run that lighter over both sides. It gives it that tapered look. Do it to my next fly. Got to snip the length of this one. The micro chenille was a little bit long. Take the flame really quickly. And this one's about the right length, so we'll just use there we go. So there they are. See if you can see them. All 3 of those flies done and ready to be fished.